Everyone, hold on, let me put on my gloves. Hey, I hope everyone's having a great day here. I hope I'm holding the phone right. The last time I held it the other way around. It's Sunday morning. I'm just going on a walk. It's a beautiful day here. Well, some would say that it isn't, but I really think it is a beautiful day. Oh, hold on. Let this truck pass by. It's a snowplow. Right, so I was out on my morning stroll and I thought of talking to you guys about courage. I was actually inspired to talk to you guys about courage. It's something that we overlook a lot. And before I begin, take a look around. It's actually snowing. It's actually really beautiful out here. And it's not as cold as the last time, so hopefully my tears won't come out. And if they do, that's fine. Because we're talking about courage, so it's okay. And thanks for whoever is watching right now. Welcome, and thanks for watching. So I was thinking about courage and what it takes for people to be courageous, and what it took for me to be courageous, and how I define it. First of all, let's start with the definition of courage. What is courage? Many people think that courage is being fearless, and I used to be under the same misconception. But the reality is much different than that. It is not to be fearless. I did a post on this too. It's to face the challenges, to go towards the path that you want to go on despite your fears. And I've done a couple of videos on fears, and you will find that most of our fears are imaginary. Even though they're imaginary, they seem very, very real to us. And that's the key for courage, that no matter what our mind throws at us, they're all hypothetical scenarios. For example, let's say you want to talk to a family member or a friend about something that they're doing wrong, something that's affecting their life in the wrong way, or something that they're doing to you that you don't like. And you feel like if you talk to that person, what's going to happen is that it's going to create a conflict. But you don't know that it's going to create that conflict. None of us do. We can guess that it does. And let's say it does create a conflict. What is that? Nothing. Sometimes conflicts are necessary in confrontation. But what's the end result? What's the intention you're going in with that conflict, with that confrontation? Is your intention to resolve an issue, or is your intention to create a conflict? Obviously, if your intention is to resolve something, to solve a problem, then you should go for that. But the key here is, the problem here is that in your mind you're going to come up with 50,000 scenarios of why you shouldn't talk to that person, because something is going to go wrong. And that's the key to courage. Hold on, let me hold it this way. I worked out the other day and my arm is still a little sore. So let's hope this is better. Okay, so that's how courage works. That's how it works in our daily life. That we want to do something, then our mind starts to come up with these scenarios that we shouldn't. Even just picking up the phone right now and wanting to talk to you. If I allowed my mind to stop me, there were 100 reasons for me not to do this video. To say that, oh, other people have talked about courage. Oh, people already know what courage is. And who are you to talk to them about courage? Like, these kind of thoughts run through a lot of people's minds, and sometimes it runs through my mind. the key to getting over fear here is to be very aware of your mind's tricks, because it plays tricks on you like a trickster. That's why in one of the ancient literatures of human beings, in Bhagavad Gita, says that the mind is the slayer of the real. What does that mean? That means that it creates scenarios that are not actually happening in this moment, and it scares you. And where do those thoughts come from? If you actually pay attention to those thoughts, you didn't create any of those thoughts. They came from your environment. What do the majority of people think in your environment? Your family, your friends, the society that you live in. What are they afraid of? What are their major fears? You'll notice that you will have a very similar similar set of fears. And you'll find out that in any social circle, if you're not aware of your thoughts, you will start expressing the thoughts that other people have through you. You start to express the collective thought patterns. And this is actually the key to self-awareness as well, is when you become aware of your thoughts and emotions, when you pay attention to them, when you observe them, you'll notice that a majority of your thoughts are not yours. They're given to you by your society, by your family, by your friends. Some might be great thoughts, others, a good portion of them might not be good thoughts. But the key here is that your awareness. Are you aware of your thoughts? So let's not digress from courage. That plays a big part into it, but I want to talk more about courage. So you might have, look around, it's so nice here. Look how white it is everywhere. It's like there is no sun, but it's completely bright. It's cloudy, it's snowing, but it's really nice. It's actually my normal path, walking path that I go on. It's about 45 minutes. It goes around near a park. I don't know if we're gonna get to that. This video is gonna be that long, but I'm going towards there. And so let's go back to courage. Let me ask you this. What do you need to be courageous about in your life? What do you need to be bold about? Is it leaving your job? Is it starting a new career? Is it confronting somebody who's not treating you fairly? Is it living the life that you want, regardless of what other people think? Is it going for your passion, for your dreams? What needs courage in your life? Whatever it is, there are negative thoughts, there are imaginary thoughts that are stopping you from going towards it. And if you sit down, here's a great tool. Every morning when you wake up, do your stretching, move your body a little bit, and then sit down with yourself and pay attention to what kind of thoughts run in your head. You can actually observe your thoughts and emotions. Pay attention to how you feel. Pay attention to when you get the thoughts and where the feeling is in parts of your body, because you realize that there is a corresponding feeling of a thought in certain parts of your body. For example, you'll feel it in your gut, or you're gonna feel it in your heart, or you'll feel it in your throat. So pay attention to that. The more you observe, the more you pay attention, the more you realize that those thoughts are just thoughts. They're very similar to the... Hey, how you doing?
Not bad, how are you?
Good, thanks. It's a guy cleaning his car. Somebody's saying, hello here. Assalamu alaikum. Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you for joining. Okay, so like I was saying, when you pay attention to your thoughts and emotions and you pay attention to where the feeling is in your body, you will notice that it's just a feeling. It's just a thought. Just like you have an external environment, you have an internal environment, and your thoughts are in your internal environment. So just like when you're sitting down, you hear the refrigerator or a car driving by, or whatever it is, it's a noise. In the same manner, you will hear a lot of thoughts in your head, but all it is background noise. And the problem with us is that we start to take background noise very seriously in our internal environment. So if you hear the refrigerator, you're constantly hearing it, but you phase it out. And your internal thoughts, you get a thought about being afraid, you start to pay attention to it. Not in the sense that you're observing it, but you start to act on it. It's as if a car was driving by and you start to get scared, even though you were a few feet away and you were safe. You start to get scared for no reason. So we start to get scared of our thoughts for no reason whatsoever, based on a thought that's not real. And you have to actually practice this for you to know. Oh, here, somebody's leaving another comment. For me, courage means, Jawad here, thank you for joining us. For me, courage means to have new ventures in my life. I don't know if I can see more. Oh, I'm wearing a glove. I'll read the rest after. Thank you for leaving that. And that's a great point. Another truck. Okay. I think I'm getting close to the park, but let's keep going because I like this discussion and there are people joining me here. Thanks for joining me, by the way. That's really great that you guys are participating, and that's what I love about Facebook Live. Like Jawad said, for him, courage means to have new ventures in his life. And that's actually a big part of courage, and that's what I had to do when I left my last career. I studied mechanical engineering, and I had finished college. I had gone to university for a couple of years, and I had already worked in the field. But for me to leave that and start something that's completely different, start a coaching business, to start teaching about personal development, was, to most people, look like idiocracy, complete stupidity, because I had spent the past 5-6 years studying that. But to me it didn't, because it came from a place of inspiration. I was really inspired. I felt like I need to do this. And I didn't realize that at the moment. I just thought, I kept picturing myself in front of a stage, talking to people, helping people one-on-one. And it was a very, very, very strong feeling. And no matter what I did, I couldn't shake it off. And I kept having that feeling for a while until one day I got the opportunity. And then I acted on it. Did I have fears? Yeah, I had a lot of fears. I thought, what are people gonna say? What if I don't make any money out of this? What if people don't care about what I say? What if what I teach is stupid? What if people start making fun of me? What if... Oh, here we are at the park. It's a really beautiful park. Sorry, I interrupted that, but look around. It's really nice here. So all these fears that, what if this, what if that? There are over 1,000 fears that you can go through for every decision, but are they necessary? Are they important for your decision making? I don't think so. All they are background chatter from the people around you, from the society that you were brought up in, from the people that are around you. If you actually talk to the people that you associate with on a regular basis, ask them about their fears, your family, your friends that you've been friends with for a long time. Ask them about their fears. You'll find that they'll have very, very similar fears as you. Why is that? Because we were brought up in societies and cultures and families that absorb each other's fears, that take each other's fears. And because fear is associated with emotions, it becomes very real to us. And until we become aware of it, we can't do anything about it. So one tip that I've been trying to give you, I know it sounds complicated, but all it is sit with yourself and observe your thoughts. Observe your emotions. See how you feel. Sit as long as you have to, especially before making a big decision. Sit with yourself. See why you're trying to make a decision. Sometimes you don't even have to come up with the why, but sit with yourself and you will realize that you have something within you that's way more courageous than those thoughts. Oh, my hair is completely white. So I got another comment from Jawad. I can't see all of your comment, but I'm reading the top portions of it. If life was in a way that you don't expect it, not for a short time, for as long time. Okay, I don't know what you're saying right now. I have to read the whole thing. I'll read it after. But you have to realize one thing with life. We always think that things are gonna get easier, and this is really cool, because when I started going on this new venture for helping people, teaching people, coaching people through their life, I went to a lot of seminars, many of them in California, and I met quite a few people who were from every walk of life. They were doctors, they were engineers, they were CEOs of company at every income level, they were medical professionals, they were office assistants, they were working in any field that you can think of. They were working in music industry, they were film, they were working in film as in screenwriters, and there were hypnotherapists, psychologists. So I met all these people, and they're from, in one seminar was people from 47 different countries. And I noticed that even though they're all at different levels of status, income, way of life, different culture, different society, I realized that they all have very similar way of thinking about what makes them afraid and how to be courageous. They were actually there to find the courage to do what they're trying to do. A big part of why people go to these seminars is to find that courage to do what they're trying to do. Yeah, they're getting the tools, some of the knowledge, some of the things necessary, but being surrounded by people who are also trying to do the same thing gives them that courage. And when everybody shares what they're going through and the challenges, and we actually did that. We had exercises in these seminars where we shared our challenges, the things we're afraid of. And when we did that, we realized that we all have very similar fears. And they're all based on nothing. And we could offer encouragement. We could say that yeah, I have the same fear, but it doesn't do anything for me. And that's how I was able to, that's part of how I was able to get over a lot of my fears, is talking to other people who are trying to do the same thing as me or similar thing as me. So that's another tip for you. Find people who will be encouraging to you, who are willing to share themselves with you, because it actually takes a lot of courage to share your own thoughts. For me, to be able to do this, it takes a lot of courage for me. If you talked to me 4 or 5 years ago, I wouldn't be able to tell you all these things. At least not unless you were really close with me. But right now, I'm live on Facebook, and I'm going to post this on YouTube as well. And a lot of people are going to watch this. So, wow, we got to take a moment to look at this scenery here. I got to get another camera. This phone's front camera is not that great. So I'm probably going to use another one next time. But look at this beauty around me. So beautiful. Snowing still, but it's not that windy, so it doesn't feel that cold, but it's still a bit cold. But I love this kind of weather. Yeah. So back to courage. Again, my whole point here is for you to think about what it means to be courageous in your life. And ask yourself, what do you need to do right now? What is one thing that you need to do right now that requires courage? That requires you to get over your fears? That requires for you to take the challenge of going towards that task. So for example, for Jawad here, he said that to go on new ventures in his life. So what is that new venture? You have to be specific. And once you get specific about that, you sit down and think about that. Write it down. And think about why you're not going, why you're not doing it yet. And you'll notice that you'll come up with a lot of excuses in your mind. Oh, it's because I live in a place that's like this, I don't have enough money, or I don't have the resources, or I don't have the knowledge. We can all come up with excuses that will give us the comfort. The connection is a bit weak, but hopefully it records. We can come up with excuses that give us the comfort to not do the thing that we're trying to do, but it won't give us any results. And that's the other key for courage. You have to go and take action, even if you're afraid. And that's another thing I realized with talking to a lot of people and my clients as well, who are from different walks of life. You realize that even though they took action, they did what they were doing, they never really lost the fear. And I can tell you from my perspective, I still have my fears. Some of my fears are there. I just don't give it enough energy. And how does that happen? When you decide that you want to do something, when you decide that you want to go towards something, regardless of your fears, you do it. You'll notice that your fears will be there in some background in the back of your mind, but they won't affect you as much. I got another comment. Doesn't matter if I got another comment from Jawad here. Thanks for participating, by the way, Jawad. Doesn't matter if there's less chance or more chance. Your job is not to figure out how much of a chance you have to figure things out, to get things done. Your job is to figure out a way to do it regardless of the low chance. There's a very low chance when I started doing what I'm doing, starting a business online, starting coaching, starting personal development. It's a very saturated industry now. There are a lot of people that teach this. There was a very low chance that I'd be very successful. But here I am. I'm still trying and I'm still doing it. And to many, I would look very successful because they haven't started yet. To others, I might not look very successful. But the point here is that no matter how low the chance is, you have to keep going. You have to be persistent in what you're doing. And I was actually listening to a lecture. Who was he? I'm really bad with names. So a lecture by one of my favorite speakers too. It's not Napoleon Hill, but he's one of the people that followed him. So never mind the name, but what he said was that he was actually giving us statistics about in the United States about how much money people make, retire with. And there were 2 or 3 general categories. The first category was that most people, and this was I think in 1940s or 50s, around that time, so the money difference was huge. So when I say the value of the money was a lot higher than now. So at that time, people were retiring with less than $10,000 in their pocket, in their account. And that was around 80% of the people. And about, I think, 6 or 7% or 10% of the people around that, a small minority, were retiring with more 10,000 or more. And to his astonishment, and you can actually look at the statistics now too, it'll be very similar because people's behavior collective behavior changes very little in this short amount of time. That only 2% of the people, around 2 to 4% of the people who were able to make 10,000 or more. Now, why is this relevant? We're not really just talking about money here. It's relevant because most people don't achieve, not because they don't have the ability, they don't have the mental ability, they don't have the physical ability, or they don't have the resources or knowledge. It's not why they don't achieve, because you can get all of those. You can find a way to get it. You have a mind that will help you attain that. Now, the reason that most people aren't able to go towards that is because they make up these excuses and they hear the same excuses in their environment. I was actually talking to one of my clients in my group coaching class the other day, and he was trying to do something different from his friends around him, and every time he would talk to them, and it was a career change, every time he would talk to them, they would tell him, oh, you're never gonna get accepted into this field. It's very difficult. There are very few people that are able to do it. You're never gonna get a better job like this that you have. But all discouragements, all their own fears, when you actually look at it properly, every one of those people are expressing their own fears. They're not really talking about the possibility of what's going to happen or not. If you rationally think about something, you realize that, okay, there might be less of a chance for you to do something like that, but is that going to make you happy? Is that going to make your life more fulfilling? And if something's going to make you happy and you'll feel more fulfilled in your life, you'll notice that you're going to work more towards that. And this is the key. So why did the 1 or 2% of the people in the world succeed in whatever they're doing, whether it be in finance and career and creating the household community and becoming a musician, whatever it is? There are very few people that become successful, not because more people are not capable. It's because people give up before they start. They're not persistent. They don't keep going, regardless of the challenges. They don't keep going towards what they want to do. And that's another key, is that you have to be persistent with what you're doing. There will be challenges, there will be hardships, there will be times that will seem like it's not going to happen, but you have to keep going, and that's the key. Every person who has been successful, if you have a person that has inspired you, go study their biography. You'll notice that they went through a lot of failures, a lot more failures than me and you can count, before they were successful in whatever they were doing. And along the journey towards that success, they learned a lot. They became more than they expected. They achieved a lot more than what they were asking for. And that's the key. I know we started with courage and we started talking about success here, but it always goes back to that. It always goes back to your own achievements, to what you become as a person, to the feeling that you get as a person, to the things that you get, to the relationships that you create, to the life that you create. Courage always goes back to that. And I ask you this, do you have the courage to create the life that you want, to do the things that make you happy? You'll have to decide that for yourself. And if you're still not convinced after this long video, I'm actually 60% of the way through with my walk. It was actually an interesting topic. Hopefully you recorded well. But if you're still not convinced, go ahead, look at some of my articles. Go to my website, faisalinsan.com. There are other videos about courage, about success, about other things that you can learn. And I always give you a question or two to think about, and there's a reason for that, because unless you think about it in your own personal life, it won't mean anything to you. I can go on for 2 days like this, and it won't mean anything to you unless you sit down and do the work. And you might say, oh, I have been specific, I have sat down. Have you consistently tried it? How long have you tried it? Have you tried everything? And you'll notice that people only try a few things and then they give up. They don't go search for another way to do it. They don't go looking for another set of knowledge. another mentor, or whatever you need to go towards whatever you're doing. Find solutions. You have it right here within you, and within you, right here in your heart and your mind. I'm pointing to the brain. That's another discussion, but the brain is just an organ. We're talking about our mind. But that's another discussion. We'll do it in another live video. But the bottom line here is that you need to have courage to do anything that you're doing. Without courage, without dealing with your fears, without taking care of your fears, you are not going to go anywhere. You're going to freeze. You're going to make excuses for doing whatever you're trying to do. And before you know it, 10 years will pass by, 20 years will pass by. You're going to sit and regret your decisions that you took 20 years ago. And think about people who are at that stage. Ask them, what are your regrets? You'll notice that the regrets are always the things that they never tried. So what have you stopped yourself from trying? You have to ask yourself that. And I think I'm done with the live now. I'm gonna enjoy the rest of my walk, and I hope you guys have a great week. It was actually a very enjoyable video for me. And thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. I'll respond to your comments after, and I'll post the link to my website. Go there and watch the videos. And my voice is gonna get suppressed because this guy is cleaning his driveway with a snowplow, some kind of snowplow. So have a great day, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye.